It's Selena, and I'm excited that you are here. Welcome to another episode of The Unbreakable Spirit, a podcast dedicated to being a source of healing the immense setbacks that we all have experienced in life by sharing stories of those who have discovered their unbreakable spirit. Please note, we are not experts. We are simply sharing stories of our struggles and how we've been able to overcome them. So today's guest is Malika Riley, Nee Grant, who is graciously sharing her story and the road to new job, new love. Malika was married for nearly 30 years, and in her words, to a controlling man who was mentally and verbally abusive. She finally decided to stick up for herself and asked for a divorce. Her then husband finally left about 3 years after her request, and it was in the midst of COVID. Almost immediately following that, she was let go from her workplace of nearly 16 years. Devastated by the extreme directional changes in her life, she says all that she wanted to do was to cover up her head and stay in bed forever, crying, reminiscing, and wondering what she had done wrong to deserve this. Fast forward 6 months, with the help of close friends, family, and her God, she was able to free herself of the negativity and regain her self-worth. Welcome to the show, Malika, and thank you for trusting me to help tell your story.
Thank you for having me.
So you don't know that I've done this. So I took a peek. I was looking at your Facebook, and I want to read to our listeners one of your very recent posts. And I think this summarizes where you are right now in your life. And I think this is the blessing. The single most powerful thing I can be is to be myself. Love your body, big or small, all the lumps and bumps, whether or not it works well or if it runs marathons. There's a soul in there. So treat it as the wonderful and amazing soul keeper that it is. Love it, Malika. Love it. Now, I don't know if you wrote it or if you saw it, but the fact that you posted it just tells me what I want to tell.
Sometimes I grab things from the media that I relate with,
What about that resonates with you?
Well, I feel like I'm at peace, and I feel so within my inner self is like able to be out there, not being careful of what I might do or say because somebody doesn't like it. My loved one or whatever like that. So I feel really like my day is just like not miserable. Nobody's squashing, who I want to be,
And you're living your authentic life.
Yes. I want to be who I am. I don't want people to be thinking that I'm somebody who I'm not, like being fake, because I'm pretending that this relationship I'm in is working and things like that.
Right.
People asking for marriage advice and stuff because I'm with somebody for such a long period of time. They think it's all gravy, know?
Right.
So I got tired of that. Now I feel who I
like
truly
you're
am.
Complete now.
Yes.
You're complete now. So you just mentioned the marriage. So I want to talk a little bit about that. So take me back to what you recall. Like you talked about a 30-year marriage. What do you recall as the first signs that you were in an abusive marriage?
Okay. Well, after you're out of things, you reflect in a lot, right? You see things that you never seen, or you just kind of maybe, blocked it,
Right.
But originally it was from the first one I was with my husband before we got married. We had some problems, and I left him for a while, right? And I took him back. And I think that was the worst thing I could have did, after 2 years separation. And I was like done with him, but he talked me back into coming with him right there. That's the controlling aspect of me not wanting him. And because I didn't want him, he pushed himself on me to get me back. So I got back, and we stayed together for that long period of time. And in that time, he was just, negative all the time. All my thoughts and feelings weren't
relevant.
Right. Exactly. Disregard that. And still I had to be this wife who, worked as well as came home and had to make the meals, I'm doing the 100% kind of thing. But and he still didn't appreciate it. So, cause he was still out there, you know, chatting up women, and, you know, I can't say, you know, proof that he actually was physical with them. But as for the text and the social media and stuff like that, you know, I tried to pretend that it wasn't there, but I'm sure it was. What thing was, that I knew that that was it, was one day, I had a mild stroke, and this was because it turned out to be because of my stress in my life.
Wow.
Like, yes.
Wow. That's a
So,
wake-up call.
well, with the story, it's even worse. The story is I called telehealth when I was having it, because I didn't know I was having it. And they
Right.
told me to get to the hospital. So I woke my husband up, right? And he's kind of iffing if he wants to take me to the hospital, first of all, like, because he's sleeping. So then he gets up and he goes to get the car to come get me. In the meantime, when he goes to get the car to come get me, he gets a text on his phone. In all my years I've been with him, I've never touched his phone, didn't care, you know, because I had the trust and faith.
Sure.
So something, just me being sick, and as well, I took the phone up and looked at it, and it was a woman he was interacting with, and not just and interacting with her at the same period of time I told him to get ready because he has to take me to emergency because I'm having a stroke. He was chatting her up. So I wasn't relevant even in that point of period of time. So right there, I knew that he did not care about me whatsoever. And that's when my, like, punching the, you know, head and say, come on, girl, what are you doing? And after I got well, you know, and I just started, you know, this got to end. And I did it. And I was
Malika, that is, as you said, that's a kick in the head moment. That is astounding. So you go from complete trust, never looking at his phone. You're in the middle of a health crisis.
Yes.
And in that moment, you pick up the phone. And in that moment, you're realizing what you're really dealing with.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was texting so much. It was like, what's going on? Right.
Yeah.
And here, and then, yes. And then I even gave him a chance. And I said to him, you know, when he came back from the car, I say, do you have something you want to tell me? Right. I said, there's this female texting you. I've read the text. So I'm giving you a chance to be honest with me and tell me. I said, because you can't deny, because I read the text.
Right.
He denies it. So
there you go. Wrong. I call that wrong and strong. My God. Let me ask you something though, because you mentioned earlier about staying and being in this marriage. Let me ask you, why did you stay? Why do you think like, now that you've had a chance to reflect, now that you've had an opportunity, like, you know, your life is you're in a very different place right now. Why do you think you stayed? Give me like 2 or 3 high level reasons why you now think that you stayed.
Low self-esteem. I grew up with a single mom. I didn't know what having a husband and what it, you know, how to be treated and so forth. And then my children.
Right. Got it. So your reasons were just not having that example of what a marriage looks like and what a good marriage looks like. And then you don't have the blueprint. So if you don't have the blueprint, how are you able to
what am I supposed to stick with? What am I supposed to put up with?
Right. Okay, got it. So that's really good to know, because I think there's more of us who have grown up in a single parent household than there are that have grown up in you know, a household with 2 parents. So I totally get that. And you say that you stayed because of your children. And let me ask you about that, because one of the things that I hear very, very, very often is that people stay for their children because they're concerned about their children not having that 2-parent household. And then when they finally leave the husband or the wife, whoever it is, and they have an opportunity to speak to the children, and they have that conversation, the children generally seem to say, I wish you had of a long time ago. So tell me about your experience with that.
That's exactly what happened. I have 2 daughters, and you know, I'm their like queen, you know, somebody who should be respected and they love, right?
Yes.
So after all the years seeing me being abused, manipulated, talked down to, you know, disrespecting me, calling me out my name and stuff like that, you know, they say to me, you know, like, why are you still there? What's wrong with you? Like, you're telling us to be like this. And and you're not,
and that's your example.
Right.
Which is what you just finished saying. You just finished saying you didn't have an example, you didn't know an example, but even though you're telling your children, hey, you shouldn't take this from anybody, but yet they're seeing you do that.
And I was trying to stay in that relationship because, first of all, being in the church, stick in there, you got to make the relationship work regardless. God got it. I know God got me, but maybe I'm in a situation that God didn't put me in.
That's right.
I'm just thinking that he did.
Because he allows us, right? He allows us. Yeah.
We have to learn from our mistakes and our right.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you would ask for the divorce, and then there was a 3-year period that went on before he actually left. So if you had to make like a statement or two about that 3-year period, what would you say that was like? Because I just can't imagine like coming to a decision, getting it in your head, this is where you need to be, this is what you want to be into, and for 3 years it can't happen. Like that's rough.
It was miserable. I hated to come home after work, knowing that I had to look at somebody who's so miserable, and having to still be in the same bed with somebody, not touching them, not feeling any love, and I didn't want him to touch me, because I didn't want to give him the wrong ideas or anything. This is it, because if you have a sexual relationship with somebody, regardless, they'll still think, because men think they argue 1 minute, and then once you make love or whatever, everything's good.
100.
Right.
100. So we're back to square one. We're good.
Yeah. Right. What were we arguing about? I don't know.
Right.
No, that was it. And I did my own thing. I stopped, slowly. I start taking them off my social media, the pictures and things, so people wouldn't notice it drastically. And I stopped going out with him in public, things like that. And it was like roommate.
So what did, like, what finally made him leave? Like what finally, like 3 years, you wanted a divorce, but what finally made him leave?
I think he finally found a next woman to be able to live with, because I had maybe heard from him in the last year and a half, probably about 3 times.
Right shortly after that had happened, like a week later, you lose your job and you are just at the lowest point. I don't need to ask you what the lowest point is, because I can completely understand that. And so, and you were like really questioning yourself and questioning, like, why is this happening to me? And once you stop that questioning, tell me about that. Tell me about what made you, like, the transition from that, woe is me, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? Like, my life is just like in shambles. Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was a devastating moment, because leaving somebody in a situation, your financials will be in jeopardy, right?
Sure.
So then to leave the job and not know where your next paycheck come was really scary. But I was downtrodden in bed, just like not wondering what I should do. Thank God I have my children, and I always think about them first, because I probably would have taken myself out.
Really? Like you were there. You were there.
I was very there, and I had a few friends just call me, and I was disregarding the calls, and like I was really going into the mental illness stage, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And one of my girlfriends said, you know what, she didn't even say God or nothing. She said, just snap out of it. You don't know who you are, see yourself, she kind of pulled me out of it. And I thought for a while, okay, let me see. And and I started to, because I didn't have nothing to do, I started doing my own skin product, right? And it kept me busy. And then I was feeling good about myself, like, okay, somebody's liking something that I'm doing. And, because I didn't realize my potential, because I was in the rut of a job that I really didn't like, because of, the atmosphere, and then a husband that never really, gave me any kind of gratitude whatsoever, right?
Sure.
So it felt good, people saying, oh, this is great, and it started making me feel better. And I was getting back in there with, interacting with people again, because it wasn't COVID as well, so we were locked up a lot, right?
Sure.
So it's just like something snapped and said, you know, it showed me who I started to realize who I am again. Like, oh, I'm back.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Oh, that I know that I'm back feeling. You know, I'm
Yes.
listening to your story and I feel like, no disrespect to you, I've heard this story so many times. And this is like one of the reasons that I do the podcast, is because you know, when you said you just made the comment and you said, you know, the phone was ringing and you just were disregarding it. And I kind of know that feeling, right? Because people know you to be outgoing and
Right.
vivacious and whatever. And here you are stuck in this mental state of let's just call it what it was. It was depression, right? And you just didn't know how to move through that.
Right.
And I think so many people are like that. And then this friend just says to you, snap out of it. And I mean, isn't it really interesting? Because it's like I've heard that word, that a million times, but in that moment, your soul and your spirit was ready to hear that. Like, I believe that. And what you're saying, it feels like you're saying, you know, you just put one foot in front of the other and you just said, okay, well, let me try this little thing. And
I believe that because it was such a directional change, like everything gone, like a dumping, and then everything anew. And I really believe that. And that's how I feel it, right? Like deep in my soul, I feel it like
a rebirth.
A rebirth.
A rebirth.
That's the exact word.
Yeah. Like a total stripping down of all the things that weren't serving you. Right. But you didn't realize that they weren't serving you at the time. It was what
I thought this is what we're supposed to do.
Right. Exactly. This is what you're supposed to do. And this is what you know. That is amazing. And like you were stripped right down and you were the rebirth.
Yes.
That's amazing. That is so great. So we know that, you know, it was friends and family and God, that you have freed yourself from your negativity. So tell me when you knew you were going to be okay. When did you realize, you know what? I got this. I'm going to be okay. Do you feel that there was a one moment, or do you feel it was a series of moments?
No, I think it was like, I just felt like I had enough savings, you know, and things like that. And I realized that I could dip into them and still be all right. So the whole year, I didn't look for a job. I just let it come, anything come to me. I was taking it. And you know what? The job did come to me and I didn't even look for it. It came to me. And it's a blessing job. It's better than the one I had before, you know.
Amazing.
Right. So you know, the same as like I'm in a new relationship and that is just blossomed like. And,
amazing.
You know, and that came to me just like that either. I wasn't even looking for a relationship because I was like planning to stay like, you know.
Right.
Cool,
but you know what?
myself.
You know what? You said something right at the beginning of our interview, and you said that, you know, you weren't, you know, the low self-esteem and you weren't being put down and you weren't being silenced. And so it's almost like the moment you step into your truth and who you are and who you're meant to be and your purpose, and that's when everything came to you that looks like how it should be.
Yeah, it feels right.
Amazing. Amazing. That is awesome. So tell me, maybe a hard question, maybe you know this, but tell me how you see life differently today than you did, and how has maybe the world changed for you in your eyes?
I feel like I was a rose that was dehydrated and almost dead, you know, for the petals falling off and crumbling. And now I feel like I'm one that had opened up and blossomed again. I really do, even though I'm 55. And, you know, proud to say it. You know, I feel like I started like as a 30-year-old, you know, getting on their own and making themselves a way. And I feel like that.
That's amazing. The optimism shows. And you know what? I think I realized that, you know, we're still going to have moments in our life because that's what life is about. But I love that you are on your way, and I love your journey, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that you didn't listen to whatever those thoughts were that were going on in your head. It's funny. I recently saw it was a little excerpt from an interview with Mike Tyson and somebody else. and they were talking about, stuff that he may have suffered with mental health. And one of the things he said, he's like, man, the worst neighborhood in the world is right here sometimes.
I saw that.
Did you? I thought that was amazing. So,
yes,
and it's true. Like, you've got to really look after your mental health and preserve your mental health.
Because little things that people say, they don't even realize how much it can affect one person.
It impacts.
And so if you continuously, have something told to you, you will eventually believe that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, Malika, I am so grateful that you came on.
Yes, I'm so glad to have me there.
Thank you. And you, without hesitation, you wanted to do this. And I'm so happy that your heart is a heart that wants to share and help somebody, maybe bridge the gap, somebody that may be going through something like this, and knowing that it's
never too late either.
It's never too late, 55, and they too can be a rose that blossoms no matter what age. Amazing. Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. The Unbreakable Spirit thanks you very much, Malika.
Amen.
Thank you for listening to the Unbreakable Spirit podcast. Feel free to share feedback or any topics that you think should be covered. Please click like and click share. Make sure that you're following us on our IG handle at the.unbreakablespirit, and subscribe to our YouTube channel by searching The Unbreakable Spirit Podcast for the Soul. If you'd like to reach us directly, we can be reached at email address therailtus@gmail.com. That's therailtus@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.